Welcome to EchoCast, and welcome Dr. Morris Thomas, Assistant Provost and Director at the Center for Excellence in Teaching, Learning, and Assessment at Howard University. Dr. Thomas's dedication to and range of experience in the field of education dates over 20 years ago, starting at the Ohio State University as a graduate student and weaving through traditional and non-traditional education roles at Sylvan Learning, Hudson Community College, the University of the District of Columbia, and now most recently at Howard University, where among several roles, Dr. Thomas is the Assistant Provost for Digital and Online Learning, ergo EchoCast here, and ergo Echo 360. In fact, Dr. Thomas has been a great advocate for learning engagement and the use of technology to do so. And he was a recently featured speaker at Echo 360's Echo Experience 22 Global Virtual Conference earlier this summer, at which he shared his own Enhance learning model. Enhance is an acronym that we'll get into in a little bit here, and how Echo 360 fits into it to create a space where, in his words, a learning framework and technology meet. So let's hear more from the man himself, Dr. Morris Thomas. Welcome to EchoCast.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's great to have you. Great to have you here. And for those that didn't get a chance to catch your presentation at Echo Experience 22, let's if it's okay, let's just kind of jump right to the punchline, and let's start with Enhance. If you could maybe give us a little summary. You don't have to do the whole presentation again. Just maybe a little bit of the summary of what it stands for, and
Sure.
what was kind of the inspiration of it.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jeff. And I'm fine if you want to just say Morris for this interview. That's fine. So it's a pleasure to be here. So as far as the enhanced learning model, it is a framework that informs intentional course design and delivery. And it's an acronym, as you mentioned. The term enhance represents 7 strategies, instructional strategies. They are E for engage, the first N is for navigate, H is for highlight, A is for assess, the second N is for network, the second C is for connect, and then the last E is for edutain. And so these are 7 strategies that draw from a number of different learning theories and models. And so in the instructional design landscape and teaching and learning, there are so many different theories. You have theories such as some of our what they call the big 4. So connectivism, cognitivism, constructivism, and behaviorism. And so I'm a teaching and learning scientist. That's my little area of expertise. But when you have other subject matter experts across the disciplines, they may not have studied these other teaching and learning frameworks. Then you also have such teaching and learning frameworks that deals with such things as university design for learning. You have other things that deal with matters of student development theories and theories about separate and connected knowing. So all of these different models and theories are represented in a more easy to use, more accessible fashion where there's language that if I don't have a teaching and learning background, I'm a subject matter expert in whatever the discipline may be, I can look at some of these more accessible terms and glean from all of these different theories and in a more easy to access manner and employ them immediately to enhance the learning and my learning environment.
How did it? Yeah, I love it, and I'm going to dive into that last E, by the way, in just a second here. But it's such a robust framework. How long was this cooking for you? You know, as you say, you're kind of in this field, but was this, is this something that had sort of gestated over the period of a course of years, or how did it actually kind of get born?
So I would say you mentioned my start. I was as a graduate student. So as a graduate student, I started looking at different learning. So looking at more student development theories because I was in an educational policy and leadership master's program that focused on student affairs. So there was the student development theory. So you had theorists such as Chickering and the 7 different vectors of how students develop and those things, to going into like William Perry was thinking about the multiplicity of how students learn and look at different ways of navigating through, whether it be more things of dualism. So looking at all these again, looking at these theories and models as a student and as a researcher, um, I realized when I got into more of the faculty development lens that a lot of these models, a lot of this language, a lot of this what can be considered kind of specific jargon was very nuanced and not as clear for people who did not have those theoretical backgrounds or instructional design. And so then you get into instructional design and you start looking at things like andragogy or the science and art of helping adults to learn. You can't necessarily expect someone who is not from these disciplines, and I'm purposely not naming other disciplines because I want to keep it as general, but not from these disciplines, who haven't had this background and these theories and this practice to understand this, but yet they have to teach. So it was cooking, so to speak, for a while. And I would say it's still cooking, because changing and transforming the learning environment is a continuum, because our students continue to vary, social issues continue to vary, that impact both the design and delivery of the learning experience. That you want to have something that, again, I feel like it's more attainable, more accessible, more applicable, with language that is more easily transferable to a broader group of educators. And so that's how the enhanced learning model came about. So it's been cooking for a long time, and it continues to cook in the mindset of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
I don't believe that if you are shaping or facilitating learning and enhancing learning, that's why it's called the enhanced learning model, not the enhanced teaching model or the enhanced instructor model. It's about enhancing the learning. So it's all about and focused on the learner's experience and the learner's environment. It's not necessarily just for instructors to think about what they're doing, but it's to think about the overall experience for everyone.
Walking right into my next question, because as I mentioned, I love that last E of enhance around edutainment. And when you talk about making this very accessible for both faculty and for learners, I have to imagine that notion. And we've had, friends of Echo 360 like Joe Pine talk a lot about experience, the experience economy, and how people are really, not only valuing but really expecting to be sort of animated by more than just traditional, whether it's teaching models, or if you look at commerce, kind of the traditional value kind of exchange for, services and goods. So how have you found that last E, edutainment or edutain, how has that been received? Because I could imagine with some faculty, maybe it was a little bit of hey, wait a minute, like I'm not a performer here. You know what I mean? I'm an academic. But I would imagine for learners, that's been a really great way to get them engaged with the material.
So typically when I present this to colleagues, those other faculty members and those who are in the facilitation of learning sphere, whether it be professors, instructors, TAs, I first try to get people to think about their experiences as a learner, because again, we're thinking about focusing on a learner. And typically, most of us, when we think about our most impactful learning experiences, whether it be in more of an academic or non-academic environment, typically it was the overall experience, not just the subject matter, that helped us to take from not knowing something or to gain from some prior knowledge to transfer to the point where we actually learned material or had transferring the knowledge and was able to embody or apply the material, where there was something about it in addition to the educational or the learning piece, but something that also captured our attention. So it is not to make someone, I won't necessarily try to argue the point as to whether educators are performers or not. I think that could be something that we look at in semantics. I think if you're up in front of people and you have a captive audience, one could argue that there's a level of performance to that. There's a preparation, there's a script, so to speak. So edutainment strategy is not to try to make someone be a performer or to try to make someone be an entertainer. but it's understanding the psychology and the psychosocial aspects of learning, that you take things that are educational and entertaining to help enhance the learning. Could learning take place without something that is both educational and entertaining? Absolutely. But this is the enhanced learning model. So to enhance it and to keep it and make something be more memorable, something to be more easily applicable, something to be something that someone can take and utilize more easily and then re-access again, and it stays within their memory. So it stays within their recall, like these different cognitive domains and their affective domains, that's when you have something like edutain that takes place, because it only enhances the learning. Can learning take place without that aspect? Absolutely. But learning will be more enhanced when there is something that really does strike a chord with not only the cognitive, but also the affective domain for the learner.
When we think of technology, how kind of a similar, maybe sort of question, can the enhanced model, is the enhanced model, is it amplified by technology, or is it kind of contingent on it?
So I think the enhanced learning model can work without technology. So it is not just a tech model, but I think oftentimes, and if I don't answer your question, bring it back around to it, but I want to make sure I say this. I think oftentimes technology is looked at as something to do without theory, without without any research or evidence-based practices informing it. So it's like, let's bring some technology into it because we have technology available. So it's like technology for technology's sake. Whereas the enhanced learning model, when it meets with technology, it is saying, okay, this technology has these different functions. Let's use these functions intentionally to make sure that we're meeting these particular needs of the learners, or that we are impacting the learner experience. So it's leveraging the technology to enhance the learning. Is not about just being entertaining. It's not just about technology for technology's sake, or for gamification only. It's saying that this technology has these different features, these different capabilities. These can be used to help with different aspects, for instance, of edutainment, so to speak, or assessment. So like you think about Echo 360, Echo 360 has polling features. So the polling features provide a visual, it provides interaction, it provides a way to immediately see how many people are actually taking in or understanding the content that's being covered and being reviewed. So this is where the technology being leveraged with the enhanced learning model, the A being assessed, where you're getting the bigger or the greater impact. Hopefully that makes sense.
It makes all the sense in the world. And when you do have the technology, when one has technology at their fingertips, and we've got so much technology, almost sometimes it's like an arms race of technology. We've got so much to choose from. But you have great, you're rooted in great pedagogy and andragogy theory. You've got access to technology like at Echo 360 and others. What if any, what obstacles, because you're kind of a unique bird. You wear a couple of different hats at Howard. You're both an instructor, right? But you're also admin. You're also, so you got a foot in both worlds. What kind of obstacles, if any, do you run into with the adoption of a model like this?
I think the obstacle that one might run into is if they have an all or nothing mindset, or if you have a deficit mindset. I try not to lead our teaching and learning center from a mindset of, we have brilliant faculty here, brilliant students here. So I don't try to lead it from an aspect of deficit. I try to lead it more so from a mindset of, here's another possibility. Look at what you're already doing, what you want to do. How can you build upon that? And so one thing about the enhanced learning model, it is not hierarchical or sequential. So you can pick up maybe one of the strategies that you really want to hone in on, You can use several simultaneously. You can use one. So, for instance, you mentioned entertain. Maybe you just really wanted to add that feature to
Mhm.
your class. Maybe you already feel like that the other things are great. You want to embrace something that has a little more of an entertainment edge. You can just lean on that. So that kind of takes away from someone feeling like I must master this entire model, where I must then do every single or engage in every single type of technology that's out there. No, I would say look at, what do you want to strengthen? What strength you want to build upon? What do you want to engage in? And maybe for that semester, you just get into that element and then you build upon that. See if it worked well, see if it met the requirements that you were looking for, see if there were outcomes that happened for your learners. And if not, there's a saying that says, eat the meat, the meat, spit out the bones. So if not, if it doesn't work for you, don't try to
Yeah.
stick with that. See how it goes. And I think when we're not so rigid and when we're more open, then we have the abilities to enhance the learning and keep that continuous
Yeah,
improvement in
no, I
mind.
love that. It's very modular, and yet it does all tie together. But the parts are just as impactful as the whole. One thing I mentioned in your intro, I love your background for the both the diversity of experiences, but the consistency. You can just see this, almost visibly see this thread of kind of educational integrity and um, just commitment throughout all of these different sort of stops along the way. So now here you're at Howard University, a very well known, very prominent historically black college with a rich tradition and really a legacy for leveling the playing field and really fighting for educational equity and which is something that we espouse here at Echo 360 as well. Making sure that all learners have the opportunities, equal access and opportunities to thrive. How has your own direction and mission been amplified since taking on this role at Howard, where from an outsider's perspective, it seems like you have such a great platform now to take all of these years, these 20 plus years of experience, and again, it's not new because you were exacting it no matter what stop where you were along the way. But do you feel a sense of opportunity, maybe even responsibility now to take advantage and really leverage the sort of stage that you have here, the platform that you have here, to continue to advance these aspects of educational equity?
Oh, that's a great question, and has many, many ways I could answer it. So I would say, in brief, yes, there is both an opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity. Howard University is a great historically Black university. It is, and it's just a great university in general as a nationally ranked national institution, highly ranked in many of its programs. An alumni second to none, regardless of HBCU, private, public. I cannot think of institutions that have um, a much more star-studded, prominent, impactful. Our sitting vice president of the United States is a Howard alum, the first Black Supreme Court justice, Howard. I can go down the line of these aspects of Howard, of what Howard has contributed. And so when one as myself has the opportunity to become a part of the legacy, as you mentioned, and of this platform, it's absolutely a responsibility. It's absolutely an opportunity. But what I find it to be, as opposed to being caught up in all of those aspects of it, I focus on the more so the responsibility aspect of it. And it becomes more sobering for me to understand that when I make impact, when I make decisions, when I do the work here at Howard, it automatically has a global reach. And so I'm very sober and careful in whatever I'm doing because I understand that I could be impacting the next president, the next whomever. And so I want to make sure that I am offering work and contributing with an element of excellence, with an element of being forward thinking, with looking down the line, and with making sure that I am providing the best for this particular environment. But it's definitely absolutely an opportunity and a responsibility at the same time that I find more sobering than the opposite.
We're very grateful that you are in this role, and sobering or exciting or just very, very either way, either side of the coin. You're the right guy for the right job. So it's great to have you there. And so I want to thank you, Dr. Thomas Morris, for joining us here on EchoCast, and just for everything you're doing and sharing the enhanced model, sharing everything. For those that did miss it, you can actually go to echo360.com and check out Dr. Thomas's presentation on echo360.com there. And we're gonna let Morris go now, but everybody else stick around for just a quick demonstration of some of the applications referenced here in this EchoCast. And like I said, you can always go to echo360.com to check out more of these episodes and to check out more resources to create your own inspired learning experiences.
Here's a quick demonstration of an Echo360 solution related to this episode of EchoCast. Reach out to us at echo360.com to learn more.
The transcript editor can be accessed either from the Media Tiles menu in the Content Library or from the Media Details page. Depending on your course settings, you may also be able to access this from the class list page by clicking on the video icon. When the transcript editor opens, it provides a playback panel on the left, and the text of the transcript is broken out into timed cues on the right. The currently applied transcript is shown by default. In most cases, this will be the original automated transcript generated through the Amazon ASR service. In some cases, it may be the edited version or a later uploaded version. To edit the text of cues, or to change the speaker tags for any of the cues, click on Edit the Transcript. This will take you into edit mode. Once in edit mode, the right panel changes and allows you to click into any of the text cues to activate it. Once activated, you can move your cursor around within the cues or make changes to selected portions of the text or type. And below the video, you'll notice a toggle that's pause while typing. This is a helpful tool to keep the video in sync of where you are when editing your cues, so the video doesn't get ahead of you. Once you're happy with your edits, go ahead and click outside of the cues to go to a different one. Keep in mind that you can use the Find and Replace to find certain words in bulk and apply edits to them in bulk. If necessary, you can use the Undo and Redo buttons to restore your edits. Once you're happy with all of your edits, you can save your changes by clicking Save as New Version. This version will be applied to the media that is shown in the transcript panel inside the classroom. Now that you have your transcript where you would like it, please note that you are able to apply this transcription to a closed caption track. This would be activated when a user clicks the CC button inside the player. If another user is also editing the transcript at the same time and has already saved their work, you may be asked to compare differing cues where differing cues are found. You will have the chance to approve or reject your changes for each differing cue. Then save the version as the next version. Don't panic, the other user's changes, even if you reject them, are still there, but will be in the version previous to yours.
Thanks for tuning in to EchoCast. For more information on these and other inspired learning solutions, visit us at echo360.com.